Hi again, my name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller, and today I'm going to be doing my what sold video for last week, Monday through Thursday, April 21st through the 24th, and my sales were down a little. I think I had one okay day and the rest were down, but I had some really nice sales which kind of helped a lot.
A couple of those days you had your store put on
Yeah, Thursday I had put my store on
time away.
time away. And, you know, there's people out there who'll disagree, but to me, when you mess with your store settings, you put stuff on, you know, something different, it affects
Certainly
your
seems
store.
to. And there's no way to do it scientifically because you're doing one store at a time, and maybe it was going to go down for a little bit that day anyway, or those days anyway. But
Yeah.
eBay needs to give us a bunch of stores with all these items in it so we could do some testing of things, and we could actually sell more in the process too, but
Yeah.
probably not.
Probably not. We went out yard selling today. It's a Friday here, and it was okay. Way more clothes than toys.
We got some good deals on clothes.
We did get some very good deals, you know, $1 a piece and
$2 a piece.
$2 a piece, but a
For
lot of
the
jeans.
normal Wrangler, Levi, American Eagle.
American Eagle.
One pair missed me for $1.
That was good. That was a good find. But not a whole lot of toys, but I did find one really, really good toy, and that'll be in our haul video.
I was really disappointed that we didn't find anything on that yard sale on Wild Cherry Court.
Yeah, he was already planning songs to go with the yard sale that was way too expensive and just didn't have anything we wanted.
So instead of, being able to talk about what we got there, I just had to
So now
crudely throw it into
throw
this
it-
video. Into this video.
So let me go ahead and share with you some of my solds. I had one on Etsy, and then of course the rest is on eBay. Etsy just kind of seems to come in waves with me. I'll have a couple of, a few days where I sell, 1, 2, or 3 items, and then I'll go a little while without selling anything. And we have tried to move me differently in the screen so people can see the shipping that was charged, mostly on the eBay screens. Just remember, if you see $4.95, not $5.95 or $6.95, those are my flat rate shipping for things that are under a pound according to the weight that I expect them to be shipping at. Everything else, you're actually seeing the weight, the price, the calculated price, as if I was shipping it to myself. Because when you go into your eBay listings, it has your zip code is the primary setup.
It's the destination. It's
Right.
the source and the destination.
Because if I'm shopping on eBay, I want it to be able to quote shipping to my zip code. So that's how it gets set up. So for those of you who wanted to see what the shipping was, it's not really, but you'll be able to see, guesstimate.
You'll see the cheapest shipping available when
Yeah.
it's calculated.
Exactly. All right, so this first thing on Etsy that sold was actually from the Sasha estate sale. Y'all, these McDonald's Bionicles are gold, and especially if you can find multiple packs of them, the whole set of them would be ideal. But I only found one at that estate sale, and it sold on Etsy for $29.95. And then eBay. So quite a few clothes. If you're new to my channel, like I was just kind of mentioning, I don't do free shipping. So when I say something sold for $19, you're going to be able to see that the shipping to me, but the shipping, especially for like this one that's $6.14, it was calculated shipping to that person. But this first thing that sold was Vigos women's denim mini skirts. Anytime I find denim skirts, short, midi, knee, or maxi, it doesn't matter. We tend to pick them up if they're in very good condition. There's a lot of people who like wearing denim skirts. And this pair sold for $19.
There have been people that have gone to our homeschool co-op that it's a
Modesty
it's
thing.
a modesty thing for them. That's what they tend to wear, and some of those people tend to be fairly frugal too and like to buy their stuff used. So it's a good market if you can find the denim skirts. It's a good market.
Yeah. All right, Wranglers men's jeans, larger size and black. We tend to do well with the black jeans. This pair sold for $17.71. If you see the price that I'm saying it sold for in red, that means I either accepted an offer or they accepted my offer. On the rest of these where you don't see any of the red writing, I do have a 10% off store-wide coupon. And so this price would be $17.71 less the 10% because it's store-wide, and I'm just leaving it. It seems to be helping some, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep using it for a while and see how it does for me. All right, look, we found this when we were in Nashville, and this, I'm going to use this when something sells very, very quickly. So this item sold probably within a day of listing. Oh, it didn't work.
I guess that wasn't so easy getting that all set up.
I guess not.
That was easy.
There we go. It took about a week to sell. But Robert had picked these up at a recent yard sale. $2 for the whole set. It is called The Complete Works of Francis A. Schaeffer, volumes 1 through 5, and they sold for $49.95, minus the 10% coupon. All right, St. Petersburg coffee cup mug. It's been listed a while and ended up selling for $11.66. Listed last year, so not as bad as some. All right, this is Thai Pluffies. I love picking them up. Some of them are bread and butter like this one. Some of them do quite well for me. This was Blues, the Blue Moose, and he sold in about a little over a month for $12.10. Mattel Monster High Doll L. I got a question right before this person bought this asking if the doll was included. And, it made me realize, there are lots of people who sell doll clothes, either the Monster Highs, the Barbies, the American Girl, any of those type of dolls, and they just sell the clothes. So I'm not sure, is there something I should add to my titles? Because, this has been listed since 2023, and it finally sold for the $16.80. But now I'm trying to figure out what should I add to these types of listings to let them know that it is the doll and the clothes. So that was, hadn't thought about it, but I guess it could be confusing. And nobody wants to buy like this thinking they're getting all of it, and all they're getting is the clothing that's on the doll. All right, Peanuts Snoopy Swim Ring Tumbler. This is from a jelly jar. Pretty sure this was in the Snoopy lot that I bought last year. I don't have believe it or not, I don't have a whole lot left. Like 2 totes and maybe a few things floating around. But that was a lot of stuff that sold very, very well for me. This jelly jar glass sold for $11.66. This was sad because I probably could have sold it, I want to say $25, $30. But I noticed when I was taking the pictures, if you look real closely at the handle, it's cracked. So I did decide to go ahead and list it. And it still sold very quickly in about a month. But I sold it for $10 because somebody's just probably going to want to sit it on a shelf. But it still sometimes is okay to list stuff that's damaged. Spark, Create, Imagine, Pink Flamingo. I think this is one that I got a nice feedback on it. They've been looking for it for a while. And, I always find that an amazing statement, especially when this has been listed since August. And yet she wasn't able to find it because she said she'd been looking for a replacement for her child's favorite plush. And she was so glad to find this. Makes you wonder, right? Makes you wonder what are our listings, being seen out there. But it sold not for a lot. Bread and butter, $8.96. This fooled both me and Robert because both of us thought this was a pair of pants that we needed to go pull from the clothing section, but it didn't have the right custom SKU that we were looking for. It's a doll pair of pants. It is for the Fisher-Price My Friend Mikey doll, the boy doll in that series. And it sold for $8.96. I lotted up these little people, y'all, and they are selling great. This was most of these are like the early 2000-ish, probably through like 2011, 2012. Then they started making different ones. You know, there's the skinnies I talk about, the heavies I talk about. But I ended up putting these 19 little people together, and they sold for $35.95. American Eagle women's shorts. I've been listing the heck out of shorts right now. This is a size 0, so don't be afraid of the little sizes. And it sold in about a month for $13.21. A lot of these that I'm listing right now, we picked up at the bins in Springfield. I know I'm getting that wrong, and Robert's not here right now. The Illinois bins that we like going to, there was like an entire bin that was shelf pulls from the Goodwill, and they were just all shorts. And a lot of them were like 0s and 0s and 11, you know, just a variety, but it would be like a whole stack that were size 12. And we ended up buying every pair of shorts that we could find that was in good condition that day. Paid, I think they are $2.09 a pound. So not bad for shorts. I know these are probably like 8 ounces, so would have paid about $1 for them. And this sold $13.21.
Did you get to the one I get to heckle you about?
No, not yet.
All right, I didn't want to miss that one.
Story time in a minute. Mattel Sparkle Beach Teresa doll. This was from that messy estate sale. I think Robert found this in like the crawl space in the basement. He picked up like 3 vintage Barbie dolls and a Ken. And it sold very quickly, $16. Carter's Just One You Pink Elephant Plush. I tend to put that, if you look on a Carter's tag, some of them will say Just One You, some of them say Just One Year, some of them say Child of Mine. I tend to put that in the listing, just giving you info on how I do things, because somebody may be looking only for Child of Mine because that's more prominent on the tag than Carter's. So I tend to always put all of the words. This one sold for $11.66. American Eagle women's striped jogger pants sold for $15. This was, I picked it up at the thrift store when we were down in Florida with my friend Shannon. I bought the set in the box. It was Tyco Kitchen Littles, lots of little miniature food items. I ended up breaking it up into lots. I even sold the box empty. So that gives you an idea of things, especially when you find vintage toys. Sometimes there's collectors out there who want the box also. But this was, I just decided to keep all of this kitchen-y looking stuff with the pancakes and the breakfasts and the teapots and griddles and all of that stuff together. And ended up selling for $48 offer. Elite Jeans Women's Flared. This was just one of those things we picked up a long time ago. We would probably not pick up that brand again. It took forever to sell, and I got a $12 offer, and I grabbed it to make it gone.
I saw another pair of those today and skipped right past them. I didn't know that it was something we'd picked up before and it took a long time to sell. I just was like, probably not a good one.
We saw a lot of blah brands today. This is a viewer sale, and Gabby is also in my Discord. We do have a small group of us that are in my Discord. It's just like $5 a month, but we chat all day long, send messages. We do try to do a monthly Zoom call. So if that's anything you're interested in, Robert will have, the link down in the
description.
But Gabby saw this booklet in a recent haul and waited for me to list it, and she grabbed it right up. It was called the Flower Fairies Sticker Activity Book. So thanks again, Gabby.
This is a good time to do the ad.
Oh,
Hit the like
yes.
button, drop a comment, and if you're doing any shopping on eBay, Walmart,
Best Buy,
or the Brazilian River, go down and hit those links down there, and we'll get like 1 or 2% kickback, and it won't cost you anymore. And then I could retire early on our like $40 a month that we make.
All right, Walmart. Let's see. I threw all kinds of words in this one. Bobcat Lynx Cat Plush sold for $12.11.
You didn't put Wildcat.
Nope. Fisher Price Little People Farmer and Cow. I've got a tote down here of the animals, Little People stuff. I haven't made larger lots like I did with the figures or the people. And this one sold $9.86.
There's a good Jerry Clower story about a lynx.
Oh.
It was a lynx. We call them souped up wildcats in Amite County.
Hasbro My Little Pony Nightcap Sleep. I'm trying to see what the Sleep Tight lot from 1987. All these have been listed since 2023. So again, got an offer of $21.57 and made it go on. Signature Workwear Levi Strauss Carpenter jeans. These were unused and they sold for $16. I don't sell my stuff new with tag, new without tag. Just opens yourself up to Veros, and I just don't do it. Unless it's like a sealed puzzle. I think that's like my one exception. Maybe a sealed DVD, something like that, but not clothes. All right, Peanuts, Charlie Brown, and Lucy candle toppers from Avon 2004. These were in the estate sale Snoopy stuff that we picked up. The buyer paid $20. Another long denim women's jean skirt. This one had the like braided belt. I just left it with it. Sold for $22.
I thought Vivaldi did operas, not jeans.
I don't know. All right. Story time.
Well, he was a composer at least.
Y'all, I messed up. Even those of us who have been doing this for a year, and you have all of the processes in place for this not to happen, and then you get a little confident with yourself and you mess up. I pulled the wrong item. I knew I was looking for a Winnie the Pooh dressed as Tigger, and I didn't pay attention to this custom SKU sticker that's on the item, and I pulled the wrong one. And I had a very unhappy buyer temporarily because, I apologize. You send out the messages, you apologize. And I told her that I would go ahead and send her the correct one, and I let her keep the one that I sent that was wrong, and she's happy as can be. So Robert's always, and he said this in many of our shipping videos, when we go to ship stuff, first and foremost, we do one item at a time. It stays on the scale till we're ready to put the sticker on so that you're not doing these multiple labels and switcheroos and stuff like that. We don't have that. But he does like the control find, and he types in the 5-digit number that's associated with the item. And that way he finds the exact item. It's like a check and balance to make sure you've pulled the correct one, especially when you're getting into jeans and, the clothing items or things that look very similar. And I tend to not do that. I think I'm the one that listed it. I'm familiar with my stuff, but I need to do better. Luckily, my buyer is happy.
I'm a silly dork. I do it when there's one item left on the page. I still hit Control F and I type in the number on the bag.
Just to make sure.
And I make sure that it's the wrong. Because if I read it, I have looked and tried to pull things, and sometimes I flip the numbers in my head when I read it, and if I'm reading too fast, and I don't want to do that. So I just make sure I hit the Control F, type in the number on the bag, and make sure that it highlights the item number in the custom SKU.
Sold for $17.95. And she gets to keep the plush that I said that was wrong. All right, Barney, dinosaur plush. This was...
That was easy.
From Golden Bear 1992. I just listed this and it sold very quickly. In fact, I think the same day because it's not even on sale or anything. $29.95. All right, Disney Cars 2 MC Holly plush. I watched the first Cars, didn't watch any of the other ones. I don't know these new characters. Took a while to sell. Finally sold for $8. Island Shores men's cargo shorts linen blend sold for $20.41. All right, Reebok NFL equipment throwback Dallas Cowboys shirt. It's been listed since last year, July. Do you know where we got that from? I don't remember.
I do not remember.
I don't remember either. And it ended up selling for $30 offer.
Was it new?
No, it wasn't new.
I don't remember then. 'Cause I thought I picked something up like that when we went to that Finders Keeper store.
A long time ago, yeah.
But it's probably sold already.
Yep.
But it was something similar to that. It was a Dallas Cowboys.
Yep. All right. This lime green Saint Tropez West women's linen jacket sold for $22. And last but not least, and again,
That was easy.
this My Child doll, y'all. I think I've sold 3 of the 5, and all of them were this like $90 and above dollars. This one was the blonde girl with the green eyes, 1985. The dress is original and very highly sought after. She did have her little red panties on also. But y'all, she had a stain on her face. The little tush heart that I always tell you guys about, that's the little green heart on her bottom, it was missing. And the dress had some stains on it. And these are just one of the dolls. I don't ever try to clean them. You will mess up their faces because it's got a coating over the dolls. You know, the doll faces under, and then this is a coating over it. So I sell them as is. And y'all, this sold not even an hour, I do not believe. And I had already had 2 offers for less. And then this person just outright bought it. But of course they got the 10% coupon. So $90, $89.96 or something like that. But instant seller. All right. I hope you guys are starting to see yard sales, starting to get some sourcing done, and trying to keep up. Work on your profit piles and work on your new stuff. Don't just keep pushing the profit pile stuff. I've been doing that. I've been trying to go over there and get something off of those other shelves and get it processed. And you know what? Sometimes it's surprising how quickly that stuff sells. But my mantra, remember the mantra, you can't sell it if it's not listed. So get that stuff listed. All right, like my shirt. I know I've showed you guys this one before. They got me again. I bought some more shirts. But it's time to get to work. Bye.